All right, let's get your calls at 217-629-7970 to President Joe Biden's State of the Union speech last night and the reaction from all around, including the Republican governor of Arkansas, Sarah Huckabee Sanders. But I want you to sound off. Did you watch it last night, or have you only caught some of the highlights? Again, 217-629-7970. That's the phone number here with Springfield's Morning News on 92.7 WMAY, Springfield's News and Talk. And let's get into it with President Joe Biden talking about a variety of things. Here are just some of the clips of the president's speech last night where he laid out his agenda. He talked about everything from the issue of police reform to the economy to a ban on weapons to a little bit about foreign policy. But he did not talk about the Chinese spy balloon. He only talked about Ukraine and China in a superficial fashion, but he went on to talk about decreasing the price of drugs, but seeming to want to prop up Big Pharma even more. So here is just some of President Joe Biden talking about a variety of things. Let's hear him discuss how we're all good people.
We have to see each other not as enemies, but as fellow Americans. We're good people. The only nation in the world built on an idea. The only one.
And he talked about how the union is strong.
Because the soul of this nation is strong. Because the backbone of this nation is strong. Because the people of this nation are strong. The State of the Union is strong.
But what about that Chinese spy balloon? Did he talk about it?
I'm committed to work with China where we can advance American interests and benefit the world. But make no mistake about it. As we made clear last week, if China threatens our sovereignty, we will act to protect our country, and we did.
I mean, he didn't specifically say what action he took, but again, going on to highlight some foreign policy. But there was some boos and some cheers. He made some comments about Medicare and aspersions against Republicans.
Instead of making the wealthy pay their fair share, some Republicans want Medicare and Social Security to sunset. I'm not saying it's a majority.
So you can obviously hear there were some boos and some jeers. Let's hear from you at 217-629-7970. Let's get to the calls. Good morning. You're on WMAY. Your thoughts?
All right. I gotta say the scariest part and the most absurd part last night that I heard, it was just a highlight. I didn't listen, but when he said we need oil for at least another decade, I think is what he said. We need oil for another decade.
Yeah, another 10 years. He said, we'll need fossil fuels for, another 10 years. And the crowd laughed that off, thinking, how in the world is that possible? We're only going to need fossil fuels for only 10 more years. And a lot of that because he says the oil companies made big profits, and he pushed back on the oil companies. And they said, listen, you're not letting us drill, so why should we even invest for more production if you're going to cut us off anyways?
Yeah, and then he said, well, we need it for 10 years, at least 10 years. Then after that, we don't need you. We don't need any oil. I mean, is there anybody out there listening right now that thinks that is A, possible, B, even true that's going to happen? Yeah. That's what I'd like to know.
That's pretty remarkable. I appreciate the call, 217-629-7970. Let's get to more of your reaction from last night's State of the Union speech. Good morning.
Well, first of all, how many of these 12 million jobs did he create, or are they jobs that were lost during COVID and they're coming back? Right. That's number one. Number two, you want to ban, assault rifle or assault pistols now. He made it sound like they were going to go after those. And the poor guy's clueless. I mean, Chuck Schumer's the minority leader now. He demoted Chuck right off the bat.
I heard that, yeah.
Right off the bat. I mean,
how many gaffes were there? Yeah. I swear I heard something like, I want to work for China. But when I went back and listened to it, I heard him say, he kind of fumbled the word with, and it sounded like for. But I don't know if that's a Freudian slip or what.
But he's just, God love the guy. He's a man. And we look like the weakest country in the world. That whole deal with that spy balloon, I've been to NORAD. You can't tell me we didn't pick that thing up a long time ago, and now all of a sudden Trump had three of them.
Yeah, the only reason we knew about it was because people saw it with their bare naked eyes, and we're like, "What is that?" And then all of a sudden, you start getting the stories. Oh, there's a spy balloon over Montana. What? 217-629-7970. Good morning.
Good morning, Greggy. Yeah, I didn't listen to the speech, but the highlights this morning. But the petroleum, 10 years for the petroleum. Does this man and do these people not realize that 90% of all of our pharmaceuticals come from petroleum products?
Not just that. I mean, you look at everything. I'm surrounded by petroleum products. Everything from my cell phone to my computer to this microphone, I'm sure has some petroleum products in it. I mean, it's all over the place.
Yeah. I mean, they're delusional in their, forward thinking,
Well, and I appreciate the call. I do want to share a bit of what Sarah Huckabee Sanders, giving the Republican response last night, had to say. And she laid out what she sees happening here. And she says it's not about Republicans or Democrats anymore.
The dividing line in America is no longer between right or left. The choice is between normal or crazy.
And she went on to talk about how it seems that some people just don't understand biology.
I'm the first woman to lead my state, and he's the first man to surrender his presidency to a woke mob that can't even tell you what a woman is.
And essentially, she went on to say that the president's failing.
At 40, I'm the youngest governor in the country. And at 80, he's the oldest president in American history.
And saying that the administration's not doing the work of the people.
President Biden and the Democrats have failed you, and it's time for a change.
So, again, that's just a very brief overview with some of your reaction here to President Joe Biden's State of the Union speech last night. And I imagine we'll hear a lot more about this as the day progresses. Of course, you can always chime in live and local at 217-629-7970. You can also email bishoponair@gmail.com or find me on Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube. Just search Bishop on Air, and we can connect that.